And from the perspective of a founder who's choosing their basic go-to-market tech stack, let's say they have their first marketer and they're looking at this bunch of tools, data enrichment, they're looking at Clay, they're looking at you guys, they're looking at marketing automation platforms. Like, how should they sort through this decision at the beginning? Like what do they prioritize, and how does the Clays and other emerging tooling fit with you? No?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, like which companies, how do you think about research and enrichment and outreach? And like, there's 10 tools that you'd get suggested to go build. And that's, I think, part of the problem is like, well, in theory, you should have like a GLG or a Winter, like a research, something to do research with at the very beginning. You should have a Clay that can enrich your accounts with something more than just firmographic information. You need Zoom info for like basic contact database, or maybe you can just rely on Clay. You need a CRM. I think that all of these tools, and then you need tools to do outreach. You need SalesLoft. You need outreach. You probably need HubSpot for like a CRM plus marketing. Like there's so many tools to do all these things. That's part of the problem, is that like there are so many tools. You sort of need to be an expert in each one of these things. Like it takes quite a bit of work to get Clay up and running and have a go-to-market engineer managing those things. Like we're trying to just dramatically simplify it all. We have customers that come to us and they don't buy any of that stuff. They just say like, can we buy CharacterQuilt? And you are our all-in-ones like startup package for building a go-to-market motion. And we're not there yet. Like we have not solved for, like we don't want to actually, let's say we are there for being able to replace all those tools. We don't want to replace certain tools like, Smart Lead, for example, or Instant Lead. These guys that have figured out like email warming and domain warm up and all those kind of things. They've just got that down. We use like some of those tools that we don't want to reinvent. But like for all those things in the beginning to do research and to pull all this data in, like even Glean, if you're familiar, I think I mentioned Glean, like how do we pull in all this incredible data that we've collected over a year of doing discovery? I mean, just put yourself in those shoes. Like you've done probably 100 discovery interviews with all these different people. Like where are those sitting? Like they're in some database somewhere. Like are you using those today? Probably not. But they represent your customer. So think about it as like Glean plus GLG Winter plus Clay plus Zoom info plus outreach plus something to run your campaigns, right? Like it's quite a big stack. So we are trying to make it simpler.
And so would you say the atomic unit of what you're building is basically the voice of the customer, and that there's a market opportunity because of transformer technology that allows you to build this from the ground up, and compete with those who stop. So Gong stops at capturing the interview, transcribing it, coaching, sales reps, etc. You can build on top of that. And there's other people that are building data enrichment layers for the go-to-market sales organization specifically. And then you're saying, okay, there's a gap here for the marketing engineer. No? Like, is that the insight? Like, is that where you're going?
Yeah, I would say that we are building essentially a go-to-market or a campaign operating system that can rely on voice of the customer data that is very rich inside the tool. So I think you said it well. The atomic unit is the research and the trends and the buyer, like putting them at the center. That's why I come back to ethics. Like we didn't go with that other idea, but I love this idea because it feels right? It's like, yeah, of course I want to start with the buyer, but who's actually doing that well? Like, do you really feel like if you look in the mirror, like I'm doing this amazing, that I'm just like representing my customer at every stage? Like usually it's like I've done 200 calls and I'm trying to translate that, but then I hire someone and they haven't been in those 100 discovery calls. So then what? Like they're not, the translation of go-to-market and like the translating from a founder to the rest of your team is extremely difficult. I think it's an underrated conversation of like, how do you play the game of telephone? How do you, if you've done all the research as a founder, how do you translate that to your SDR? Like, this is a very difficult question. Like, how do you put that knowledge in their heads? But if that SDR, let's just say you only have one SDR at the company, but she's pretty smart, right? She's like, I could come up with campaigns, I could run campaigns, I could do all those things. What if you gave that SDR the atomic unit of tons of this go-to-market information and the tooling and the workflow to say, and I can come up with a target account list as a MOPS person, and I can reach out to the right people, and I have all this information. What if you can empower that BDR, SDR to run those campaigns quickly and not have to rely on, all these other things or hire somebody? Like, you're duplicating yourself as a founder, and you, by that I mean you're duplicating the voice of the customer, which feels right. It feels like it's the right way to do go to market and sales, which is what we're excited about.
I remember at Bloomreach, our CRO at the time used to say that our CEO was the best sales guy that we had, no? And this is part of your insight goes from there, no? How do you get a Raj in every room and ensure that that's there, no? Super interesting.